Good morning, guys. It is February 1st, Thursday, February 1st, 2024. This is Bad Throw Business. I got the coffee and I got the news. So it's official that we're never getting a rate cut again, and I am overjoyed. I'm kidding, of course, but I am actually really relieved that I'm not a complete idiot. I sometimes deliver the news to you guys. I make my own assessments, and I wonder if I'm totally like out of left field and I'm don't know what I'm talking about, or if I actually have a legitimate take on the market. So this is a bit boasting, humble brag, but I was right. I do not see that the Fed is going to be cutting interest rates in the first quarter. That was already assumed, but I don't think second quarter, and I would say it would be probably the tail end of the third quarter when they do, if they do. I think potentially the most we'll see this year is a quarter rate cut. So 0.25 is as most as the rate is going to be cut this year for multiple reasons. Now, I'm going to jump into that in just a second. The reason I'm so happy about this is because I keep seeing videos, I keep seeing posts, I keep seeing stories of the Fed's going to cut, the Fed's going to cut. Just wait till you hear what Jerome Powell says. And I don't know what they're talking about because every time I listen to him, every time I look at the data, I don't see any hints that a cut is coming. And every time I start to doubt myself, even yesterday I made a post of, I guess I was wrong, they're going to be cutting in March. He comes out, says the exact thing I was saying the week before, and the market starts going crazy. What do you mean rates aren't being cut? Well, just listen to what the man has to say. He has not said he's going to cut rates. It's just being assumed that he will. So before I get into that, before I get into the main story, I want to talk about a couple things. So here's one of the reasons. So I'm going to make an argument of why we don't need a cut. Everybody is arguing that we need rate cuts, right? Because inflation is under control. Okay, cool. Let's remember that rate cuts aren't just about inflation. Before inflation was an issue, inflation has not been an issue since the late 70s, early 80s, right? Inflation has been down for like 40 years. We have not had a problem with inflation. Now, that's due to multiple factors. Baby boomers reaching their peak employment during that time period, outsourcing, automation, globalization, better access to fuel. Like, there's multiple factors that play into that. Like, no single factor plays into the lack of inflation for the last 40 years. But a lot of those underlying, motivations, those underlying driving forces that kept inflation low for that long, changed in the last few years. And let's not forget, we printed like $6 trillion during COVID. So, sorry, I'm losing my voice. So, prior to that, the Fed would raise and lower interest rates to control the economy itself, right? It is the only lever that the Federal Reserve can pull is to raise interest rates or lower interest rates. If the economy is running hot, they raise interest rates. If the economy is slowing down, they lower interest rates. That was the traditional way that the Fed controlled the economy. So, let me ask you, if inflation is under control, but the economy is running hot, why would the Fed cut interest rates? Like, there is no reason, there is no precedent for them to do it. I know a lot of you will say election year, which is a fair, valid point. I'm not taking political pressure off of the table. I think political pressure and economic pressure is a huge factor. I mean, Jerome Powell still kind of moves around in circles where a lot of these ultra-rich millionaires, billionaires, hedge fund managers, private equity firms are always putting pressure on him to cut interest rates. There's no question that he is under immense pressure to cut interest rates. That's why I think he will cut 0.25% just to save face and to say, look, we did it. And I think it will yield some kind of result for people at some point this year. But, sorry, my camera faded out there. That was weird. I don't know if you guys are still there. Anyway, but yeah, so I think at some point that could happen, that he will cut interest rates by 0.25%. But I don't see anything outside of that because the economy is going so strongly. So let's just review what we have. We have the lowest unemployment rate we have had since like the 1960s. Unemployment is an all-time low. Despite the fact that we're seeing major job cuts, unemployment remains low. I'm going to read you guys a story that's on CNBC right now. So this CNBC story is supposed to make you think that, oh my God, the job cuts are so intense, the unemployment rate is going to be rising, until you actually read past the headline. So here's the beginning of the article. January hiring was the lowest for the month on record as layoffs surged. The job outplacement firm, this story is in regards to a job outplacement firm, said planned layoffs totaled 82,000 for the month, a jump of 136 from December. However, here's the rub. It's still 20% down from the same period a year ago. So essentially, these are seasonal hires or temporary hires or contract workers. So in other words, even though that we have 82,000 cuts this month in January, that's up from December, it's down from a year ago. We're getting less cuts this year than we are previous year, and that's not surprising. Remember, some of the most major cuts came from these tech companies a year ago. They're still continuing to cut and restructure, but they're not doing what they did a year ago. They were cutting heavily a year ago. Their cut rates have slowed, which makes sense. You can only cut so many jobs before you start affecting the productivity of the company. So even though, oh, jobs are being cut, oh my God, this company is cutting, that company is cutting, we're still at record high employment, and they're still cutting less and less. And they're mainly cutting due to over hiring during a period where they thought they were going to see more growth than anticipated. That's A. And two, it's because they're automating more, restructuring, focusing more on automation and AI, and because every time they cut, their stock price ticks up exponentially. So it's like a 10 to 1 every single time. For every job they cut, their stock price goes up. And all they need to do is start using contract workers if they need help with that labor. So it makes complete sense why they're cutting. It's because they can tick up their stock price and still maintain all of the benefits of having a more lean workforce. In addition, we reviewed that sales for Christmas were at an all-time high. The economy, again, is at an all-time high. Hiring is stable. Now, I know we got an ADP number yesterday that was below expectations, but I think that tomorrow's job number is actually going to blow and reverse that reading because I think Jerome Powell has access to this data before we do. I'm not saying he's months ahead, but if the Fed meeting was yesterday and the jobs report comes out tomorrow, he probably has first access to that data, or at the very least has inside knowledge of what the numbers may look like. So I think a lot of what he's saying is coming from the fact that he knows the job report is actually stronger than anticipated. In addition, we're still seeing major pressures on supply chains, right? Because even to this day, the Red Sea is still having major problems. Supply chains are still disrupted, and that is a powerful driver for inflation. Even us ourselves in one of our laboratories, we're still having trouble getting parts and materials. We're facing back orders that are going back like 3 months. There's this material that I need that I ordered back in the beginning of December, and it's already February 1st, and I haven't gotten it yet. And they keep pushing the dates for it leaving the factory out further, further, and further. I've got a piece of broken equipment that I've been waiting on a part for 2 months. A simple piece of equipment, especially it's a bracket with 4 bolts. That's it. I can't find it anywhere else. It's only this company that manufactures it, and I can't get it. So we're still facing powerful inflationary pressure. Remember, inflation is also a global phenomenon. We're reporting inflation still high among countries in Europe, the Middle East. China is its own issue. So what is the point of cutting interest rates? There's none. Here's another one. Oil. Shell posted their second biggest year in profit in their entire history. So they made something like $29 billion last year, and it's their second highest profitable year in history. They're doing a $3.5 billion buyback. And remember, oil prices are on the rise. What does oil do when it's on the rise? It causes inflationary pressure because the entire world runs on oil. So there's still powerful inflationary pressure, and yet the economy is still doing very well. If you were Jerome Powell, given the fact that everything is going smoothly, oh, by the way, mortgages are up too. Interest rates for mortgages are at 6.78%. That's a good number. Why would you cut interest rates? There's zero reason to cut interest rates. So I don't think we're getting a cut in March. I don't think we're getting a cut in May. I think maybe in July, August, we might see something, especially as election year ramps up and he may be getting political pressure. But so far, there's no reason to cut, and he shouldn't. As you know, I'm a huge advocate for high interest rates. I think the economy runs more efficiently off of high interest rates. And trust me, I don't benefit from this in any way. I own a business. We're currently refinancing loans. We're paying like 10, 11%. I'd love to be paying 5 to 6%, but I still think the fact that the interest rate is high is better overall because we're a profitable company, because we're doing well, we can afford that. But a less profitable company can't come in and steal our I'm not going to tell you what it is that we're purchasing. It's an acquisition. We're doing an acquisition, and it's the high interest rates have reduced competition so that only the strongest survive. And because, knock on wood, we're doing well, we have a strong business, we're able to move forward with this acquisition. We can afford a 10, 11% interest rate. Others can't, but that means that the economy is running more efficiently because the good companies can survive and the bad companies can't. That's what high interest rates do. Anyway, I gotta get going. I'm already late for work. I will see you guys tomorrow on Friday. I hope you have a productive day. I'll see you in the morning.